but I think definitely the difference I see, especially between 1 and 4, is they kind of got down to more of like songs, like one, they had a lot of sort of long drawn out sort of like jams and things like
Yeah.
that. And so I feel like by 4 they were kind of, 3 did this also really well, is they were kind of more songs. And I feel
Mhm.
like 4 here is where they really sort of found their own, their music, and the way that they actually developed songs as songs and less jams.
So how does When the Levee Breaks start?
I messed up the words. Okay, I said when the water comes, the levee's gonna break, but it's you know what? It's the same thing. Rain is water.
See, this is revenge. This is revenge for all the times that you burned me when I stammered or said the wrong thing.
You burned yourself, my friend.
Now,
go learn how to spoke better. Yeah.
Make sure you don't edit the part out. Make sure you keep that in.
I'll keep that one in. All right. I'll get you back.
When the water comes.
If it keeps on raining, the levee's gonna break. Maybe we should just start there, because that's probably like the only good tune on this album.
Did I hear you correctly?
Let's talk about Led Zeppelin 4.
Did you just say that's the only good song on the album, When the Levee Breaks?
Okay, maybe Stairway to Heaven as well. There we go. The album gets 2 songs. No, I'm being a little extreme here. I'm having a little fun, but
no kidding.
This is my least favorite Zeppelin album out of the 4.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
We got to talk about this.
Let's talk about this. Let's do it.
Wow.
I mean, look.
Explain yourself.
I've said this about Van Halen, right? It's Van Halen. They can't write bad music, right? I mean, like the fan, like this is Led Zeppelin. If I had heard this album first, this would have been I would have been like, this album's amazing.
Sure.
Right? Because I don't know, I'm so gonna contradict myself because it is, but like I wasn't blown away. I wasn't really. I wasn't, and I don't know if that I should really hold that myself to that standard with every time that I listen to an album. Should I be blown away? But Led Zeppelin 3 is a much better album, and it could have just been Zeppelin 3, that they did here. So
really.
Yeah. It's like why have Zeppelin 4 when I could listen to Zeppelin 3? So
wow.
Yeah, that's
do you think, in your opinion, are they very different records?
No.
Really?
Not really. I'd say they're very similar in the fact that a few more acoustic driven tracks in Led Zeppelin 3, but
right.
I don't know. There's not much different here to my mind, and I also don't think it's much better. Battle of Evermore is nice. It's cool. Like nice. And then Going to California is again nice. So I don't want to jump around, but I just in as like a as
I'm shocked
whole feel of this album. Yeah, I wasn't like, oh wow, this is like, when we listen to Van Halen, and like I felt like after 1 and 2, then 3 was like, holy smokes, and then 4 was obviously Diver Down, and we know that, or Fair Warning, which we know was So maybe I have a problem with 4th albums.
Maybe you do.
Maybe that's it.
Wow. See, the thing about Led Zeppelin is that they never ascended, right? They came right out of the blocks with the first record and just crushed for the first maybe 6 records till Physical Graffiti, and there was never an ascension or a low point. They just steamrolled.
Yeah,
and that's a special thing. Like I don't know if I can name another band that did that.
Great point, man. I think that's a great point. I mean, so it's something I was asking myself too, is like, well, what am I looking for? What am I looking for from Zeppelin 4? Like what,
right.
What did I expect? Like, how can they really, am I looking for them to get better? What am I looking for in their music? And I just felt like I had kind of heard these songs before, but I know they're probably gonna get flack for this, but like Stairway to Heaven, I know it's Stairway to Heaven, but it's an incredible song. It's an incredible song through its opening right into the transition into Bonham's drums at 3 or 4 minutes into the song, and then it's great through the solo, and it's great to the end. Like it is a great song that doesn't feel like it's 8 minutes long.
Right, it's a good point.
So yeah, cool. Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to go through this? Like I'm kind of stunned right now. Do you want to go through the songs? Or do you want to just like, this is it, this is the end of the show, we'll just pack it in?
It, man, 5 minutes is gonna be the quickest show ever. Well, I don't know. I no, like let's
kidding.
Let's talk. Yeah,
of course we will. I'm just joking.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to hear well, let's go through. Just start with Black Dog. I will say one thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is considered to be Led Zeppelin at their zenith. It's not my favorite Zeppelin record, but it is probably technically their best record in terms of, material. And hearing myself say that, I don't know if I'm completely comfortable with that, because that is kind of hinged on popularity, which I don't really care that much about. But I'm just thinking about the songs. Like Stairway to Heaven is a masterpiece.
Yes.
Obviously. But the problem with that song is that it's so good that it became something else. Like it became an event beyond just being a song, right? It was almost a pop cultural marker. I don't know about you, but for my high school dances, when that came on, you knew it was the end of the night. That marked the end of the high school dance.
Nice.
And the song was just something else to me.
Mine was Angel by Shaggy. Go on.
We should end the show right now.
Sorry.
I'm kidding. Yeah. And it just, see, now my train of thought was lost.
I thought it was a good sound.
I'm thinking about fucking Shaggy, for Christ's sakes. No, but so when I heard it, and it's funny, I was listening to this record earlier today, Led Zeppelin 4, and I hadn't listened to it for a long time because, like I said, it's not one of my favorites. I have utmost respect for it, but I just kind of forgot about it because of Stairway to Heaven. I'd heard it too many times. And what's really funny is that my first instinct when I heard those first acoustic notes was to skip.
Oh, wow.
First instinct.
Interesting.
Was to just like reach up and skip. And I didn't. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because for the first time in a very, very long time, I listened to this song within the context of the record as a piece of an overall album. Yeah. And I loved it.
Yeah.
But it took me listening to it in that context with that in mind to love it again. Albums have a feel about them, and they have an identity and a character. When you listen to Stairway, when you don't let Stairway be the entire character, makes you hear it in kind of a different way.
Nice.
Or at least for me. Yeah.
For me, it's all about the back half of that song, which is why I didn't hear it as often as you did, but I could understand that, like, I'll Stairway to Heaven. I play the guitar, sure. So of course, when you play the guitar, everybody goes, can you play Stairway to Heaven? So that's also another thing. You're like, you know what? I hate this song because no, I don't know how to play it, and I don't want to now. Like I might have tried. I tried, sure, where I could. It's not that difficult, but it's like anybody that is like, hey, can you play Stairway? Yeah, you're like, no, but here's Eruption. They're like, nah, it's fine. I want to hear Stairway. Okay, but I could play Spanish flat. Yeah. So yeah, no, but for me, it's that back half of that song that I feel like that song is just, I know it's Stairway, but like it is a masterpiece. Like it really is. So yeah,
it truly is. But this album contains Black Dog, Rock and Roll, and Stairway. So 3 songs that always play on classic rock radio.
That's 100%.
And and equally tough to listen to for me, Black Dog and Rock and Roll, just because I've heard them so many times. But I did the same thing with them. Listen to them as a collective, alongside Battle of Evermore.
Well, look, Black Dog again. When you put these songs on, like they're awesome songs. It's good rock and roll. And then Rock and Roll, I agree. I've heard that song a million times. I actually still love putting it on when I'm hitting the road, like the way the drums open. Like, okay. Bonham as a drummer, every drummer, this is like the guy they hold in regard as, like, if you want to be a drummer, Bonham's the guy with the sound,
Sure.
So I feel like, again, this is continuous from the other episodes on Led Zeppelin, but I just love the drum sounds in like all of these things. But Black Dog, that riff I heard was actually John Paul Jones. Was it him or Bonham that came up with that?
John Paul Jones wrote that riff, I believe.
Right. Yeah. So again, a pretty iconic riff of Zeppelin that Page can't even take credit for. So, true. But yeah, I mean, it's a good opener. Actually, if you ask me, it's a really good 1-2 punch for an album. Yeah. These two songs.
For sure. Another thing I like about Led Zeppelin, and that separates them again from other bands, is that they don't have a lot of songs where they sing the chorus. You think about songs, and the chorus is the title of the song.
Totally.
Led Zeppelin, they don't do that. So this song is not about a black dog. The black dog was a dog that used to walk around in the studio.
Yeah.
Because they recorded this at the Grunge.
Yeah.
And there was just a dog hanging around, and then it would come every time they played this song, the dog would come around for some reason. So they called it Black Dog.
Black Dog. That's great. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. And then Rock and Roll was all, what was that about?
That's a good story
or something like that.
No. So the 4 Sticks on the second side of this record has a crazy time signature that Bonham was really struggling with. And so they would do multiple takes, and he kept screwing up, and he just at the end of one of the takes, he just went into Good Golly Miss Molly by Little Richard. And that's the and so he played that just to kind of like relax or change the tempo. And Page still had his guitar on. So he started playing this riff that he made up to do, and it was like a blues thing.
Yeah.
And then they were kind of looking at each other, and they kept going. And Rock and Roll was being written as they did that.
That's insane. See, yeah, very cool. Like, it's like, again, those riffs, like you can't help but bop, right? Like the minute you start playing, so yeah. It's good rock and roll, man. And then it trickles into the Battle of Evermore, which is, again, something you kind of heard on Led Zeppelin 3 in terms of the mandolin and, the playing, and, it's that, again, product of their environment. What was it? Jimmy Page they're all hanging out drinking tea, and he picked up the mandolin and started playing the song. And, it's kind of fun. It's cool. But I was just like, yeah, it's, I actually love the female vocals on that song too. I love who they brought in there.
What's that woman's name? She's from Fairport Convention.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Sandy something. Anyway, she is the only woman who ever sang on a Led Zeppelin recording.
Wild.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate sort of like the style. Again, it sounded cool. It was different. It was, it's kind of like something nice to kind of lead in the Stairway.
Yeah.
But again, it was kind of like, yeah, this is cool.
I forgot. I really rediscovered this record today when I was listening to it.
That's cool.
I forgot all about this. I mean, I didn't forget about it, but I forgot how much I liked this song, Battle of Evermore. Yeah. Oh. I really do like it.
Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have taken you for a Battle of Evermore type of guy.
What would you take me for?
4 Sticks.
Come on. Why 4 Sticks?
It's it's a bit like, it's a little more heavier, a little more, kind of
a little more complex,
a little more prog, I guess, it's a little bit, that kind of thing. So, and then we've talked sort of a little bit more at length about Stairway to Heaven, but I feel like this song just got also clouded in controversy with these ridiculous messages that people were trying to pull out of it.
Yeah, it did. And Robert Plant, what did he say about this song? He said it was about a girl who took everything and gave back nothing. And that's all it was about. That's it.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
You're not thinking about what it's going to sound like played backwards.
No, that's nonsense.
Like, give me a break. Like, who is actually trying? Hey guys, get this. I'm gonna sing these lyrics.
What's the claim? Like, what is the backwards message? Is it like Hail Satan or something?
Yeah, Satan, 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 and like just something like, claimed, at the time, right? It was rock and roll. So, rock and roll was the devil's music. So they were just trying to find anything. So side 2 kicks off with Misty Mountain Hop. And I gotta say, the keyboard intro is incredible.
Right.
Like what a like and then the lyrics and the way that the music and the singing all comes together. Yeah, ton of fun.
It's like a funky hippie kind of vibe.
Yeah,
right. I think it was written about like drug possession or something like that, about kids having a difficult time being shaken down by cops. But it's a bit celebrating being a hippie.
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings.
That's where the name came from, I think, right?
Yeah, there's some the Misty Mountains of Wales. There's also kind of a setting in Lord of the Rings. But again, though, fun song, but for me, for like the first 2 minutes. And then like after that, it's kind of like 4.5 minutes of like na 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 na, and then it's like and you're like, oh man, like, yeah. So that's how I felt. I was like, I love it when it starts, and then you get 2.5 minutes in and you're like, all right, well, am I listening to Deep Purple? Is that what's happening here? So yeah. Obviously I wasn't, but it's Led Zeppelin. So yeah.
Wow. I'm very surprised. I'm just like very surprised by this.
So you know what? I also might chalk this up to the fact that I'm listening to them back to back to back to back. That could be part of it as well. Like I said, if I discovered these tunes, and we'll talk about the last 3 songs as well. But if I feel like maybe if I had listened to it first and then gone back, and but I think definitely the difference I see, especially between 1 and 4, is they kind of got down to more of like songs, like 1, they had a lot of sort of long drawn out sort of like jams and things like that. And so I feel like by 4 they were kind of, 3 did this also really well, as they were kind of more songs. And I feel like 4 here is where they really sort of found their own, their music and the way that they actually developed songs as songs and less jams.
I think that it was their implicit intention to like knock it out of the park with this record, for the reason that Led Zeppelin 3 confused critics and they panned it. And the story about why they didn't name this record. This record doesn't really have a name. It's called the 4th album. People call it Led Zeppelin 4, but that's not the name of it. If you look at the record itself, there's a picture of a man carrying a bunch of sticks. There's no writing anywhere on the album, front or back. They have those 4 symbols, and each one of those symbols represents a band member, right? They were asked to pick a symbol that represented them. Even on these spine of the record, there's no serial number, which is like badass.
Wow. Yeah.
So the record company Atlantic said, listen, you can't do this. It's got to say Led Zeppelin on it. People are going to be in the record store going like, where's the Zeppelin record? They won't be able to find it. And Page said, absolutely not doing it. We're going from us to the fans. We're not going through anybody else. We're not going through the media. We're not going through, the record company, anything. And they said, well, you can't do that. And he said, well, I'm not going to give you the master recordings then. I'm going to hang on to the master tapes and we'll release them some other way. And keep in mind, Zeppelin was just surpassing the Rolling Stones at this time in 1971 as the most popular band in the world. So he had this kind of heft. He could do this. Page could. And eventually Atlantic said, all right, I guess we'll just market the symbols and do it that way. But he said, I'm not giving you the masters until you buy into this idea that, we're doing it our way. And they did. And that is
so badass.
So badass, man.
I love badass. That. Wow. Got screwed on so many songs with copyright issues. We gotta have this. We gotta have this one. This is, we're gonna take this one, and we're not gonna let you do anything with it aside from how we want to do it. So Four Sticks comes after Misty Mountain Hop, and you got to take me a little bit behind the name of this song and what's up with this tune. I mean, it's a cool tune. It's great instrumentation, but again, I kind of get like,
So I was saying earlier that Bonham was frustrated by the fact that, and he comes up with all this stuff, but he wants to play it a certain way. And Page does too, but he couldn't get the time signature down. So he actually tried during one take to play it with 4 sticks, 2 in each hand. And just because that's what he was want to do. You know? And so that's, they said, let's call the song 4 Sticks. He eventually did get it. But that's why the song is called 4 Sticks. Wow. It's kind of a weird song. It's just odd.
Is it a skipper for you, Brent?
I don't mind it. I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
It's probably my least favorite on this record.
Yeah. I don't think there's much intention behind the lyrics or anything. I feel like this was more of like a jam tune.
It was,
and they just kind of do it. But I think it was Andy Johns. Yeah. Andy Johns said this was one of the toughest songs he's ever had to mix.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with everything that it went in and out of, and it's just the timing and I guess the sound, and I guess the little breakdown. I guess it was just really, really tough for him to mix together.
Yeah, it's an odd song.
Yeah.
Going to California. Love this song.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, tell me. It's okay. I mean, like,
you know what I love about this song? There's so many things. It's such a warm song. It's folky.
Yeah.
Story behind the song, I think, is that they were thinking about Joni Mitchell. They were both huge Joni Mitchell fans. Page and Plant were, and the song was originally called "Not Going to California." It was called "Guide to California," I think, or something like that. And it was about Joni and sunshine. And
because she wrote the song California. She wrote a song called California.
She did. Yeah, she did. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Exactly. And there's a really cool thing if you listen very closely in this song. At the very beginning of the song, 2 seconds in, you can hear Robert Plant take a breath. He goes, ah. Next time you hear the song, listen. So the little riff plays like twice, 2 seconds, and you just hear, ah, which is weird because he doesn't start singing till like 12 seconds in. It's like he held his breath for that time.
Interesting.
It's one of those little things.
It's one of those little things. Yeah, it's a nice tune. Like it's
love it.
It's a little weird when he starts, like when it kind of goes like minor and he starts singing, kind of yelping a little bit. It's kind of weird, honestly. But I do like how it starts, and I don't mind it, but I don't know. Like I'll go back and listen to like Brown Hour Stomp or like Gallows Pole or something. I just I don't know. Not that those are love songs, but they're a little more acousticy. That feels a little,
I got it.
Yeah.
When the levee breaks.
I mean those drums, like those drums to start the song.
Yeah.
It almost reminded me of Kashmir a little bit when it first starts off.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know if that was like, taking that kind of an idea, the way the drum started. But I love this tune. Yeah. I think the way that it starts, you're like, you're hooked. You're like, wow, those drums, I've never heard drums sound so big. Yes. and open before. So yeah, and then it's like the harmonica, like I mentioned that on some other Zeppelin songs from 1 and 2, just the way that Plant plays the harmonica on these songs is just, man, it's just good, man. It's just so good.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Another classic song. It's almost like a greatest hits record for Zeppelin, in my mind, not in yours, but you know what your problem is, not your problem.
No, tell me, what's my problem, Brent?
Well, you have a lot of problems, but the problem with this record is this. So the problem is that, and by the way, critics did this when this record came out. A lot of them just gave it kind of like lukewarm reviews and said, nah, it's fine,
Yeah.
But later changed their minds.
Yeah.
Because it grew on them.
Yeah.
So I think the problem is that you've listened to 1, 2, 3, expecting something different than what you got. and maybe you're expecting something that you did not get. You're not listening. And here, I'm going to tell you this. So the reason why this album was released with no name, no anything, right? That you couldn't even tell it was a Zeppelin record if you walked into the record store and saw it on the shelf.
Right.
Page did not want, this is the whole crux of this idea. He did not want Led Zeppelin, the fourth album, to be compared to the other three. He did not want any reference points. He wanted people to listen to this in isolation. He did not want comparison because Led Zeppelin 3 was compared to Led Zeppelin 2 and 1. And that's why it didn't do well. And he did that on purpose. That was his whole point. And you just proved it.
You know, again, it's not a bad album. I just feel like I've listened to these songs, you know, I just feel like there hasn't been much different. And I was thinking about when these albums were released, I'm like, well, people had time between it. And they did, but they were still released 68, 69, 70, 71. They're still releasing an album every year, you know? Yeah. So it's not that people had time to sort of like, oh, like I'm over, you know, people didn't really get over albums back then. I don't think like they do, you know, people are over albums in 2 days, or even a day in today's day and age. Right. So
the microwave age.
The microwave age. I know. Yeah. I know we live in a terrible time for music.
Mm-hmm.
Great music is coming out. It's just a terrible time to be a musician. But, you know, it just feels like, you know, there's some time to be like, okay, what's going to come next? And you know, and I love that they did that. I love that there was that thinking though behind releasing the album, and you know, they did hear what the critics had to say, and they were like, they tried to go against that, and you got to admire that.
You know what else is cool about this, and based on what you just said, this album came out, I think, in November 1971.
Yep.
They recorded it in January and February 1971. It took that long for them to get all of this like no title nonsense sorted out. They considered doing a double album because, this is cool too, songs from Physical Graffiti were actually recorded during this time. Like two of my favorite graffiti songs, Down by the Seaside and Black Country Woman, were recorded during these sessions and left off this album, which blows my mind because it would have made it even a better record than it is, which is like inconceivable to me. Like the full Led Zeppelin geek out right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so it took that long to get the record out. But the cool thing was, based on what you said just now, is that fans were anticipating this record coming out so intensely that it sold thousands more copies because, you know, they held back and people wanted it even more, that, you know, it did that much better.
Just imagine seeing them. I was just thinking about this. I saw a video of Aerosmith doing Adam's Apple live in like Houston in 76, 77 Fantastic. Or something like that. I'm like, I just love to be there for them to, like, you know, be part of those shows. So
undistilled rock and roll,
just incredible, man.
Yeah.
So yeah. So 4, like, again, it's not a bad album. I just
I'm glad that this happened because it was a great it provided some great insights, right?
Yeah.
And to your point, I don't want you to, this would ruin the entire kind of ethos of our show if you said, I love this album.
I know.
I love this album too.
I know.
You know, you should love a lot of them based
on
kind of what I know about you and your preferences and that sort of thing. But I'm glad that you're being forthright. And even if you're going to get, like, you know, a lot of rocks thrown at you for this.
I agree. You know, and I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, what if can I say this about this album? Can I say this about Led Zeppelin? Right. But then I think about it, I'm like, you know, it's the idea, right? Like, it's the idea.
That is the idea. You're right. You're absolutely right.
I know.
You're absolutely right.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't listen to all 4 back to back. I don't know. Maybe if I had the wherewithal to like pay a little more attention about maybe how the production evolved and maybe what they started singing about. Maybe there's some more granular things that I could have noticed and taken away.
Yeah.
But I just I didn't.
Well, I think you will. And like I said, people, when it came out, were like, and then in time, people were like, Wow.
Tough year though. Tough year for this album to come out. This is 71. Again, like we said this before, this was when Sticky Fingers came out. This is when everything was coming out around the world. This was a big year in the world. You know, this was what the greatest album that never topped the charts.
It didn't go to number one. And every other album by Zeppelin did. No, they had 6 records, I think, that went consecutively. One did not. In Through the Outdoor was their last number one, but this didn't hit number one, which is so bizarre, you know. And again, they didn't ascend. They were just dominating. And they did it 2 more times after that. Think about that. The Stones 72 XL on Main Street were, again, that was their zenith, in my opinion.
That's kind of it.
But what happened after that? Goat's Head Soup. They started their slide. Zeppelin powered past them with Houses of the Holy and then Physical Graffiti.
I think that's something I gotta take in consideration, because we're gonna do Physical Graffiti next, Houses of the Holy next.
If you're up to it, I would like to do, because there's a lot of important songs on Houses. I would like to do Houses and Physical Graffiti, 2 more, and then we'll move on to something else after that.
All right.
Good.
6 episodes of Led Zeppelin.
And then we'll come back to Led Zeppelin 4. I'm kidding. Give up.
Oh God.
In 3 years, give up. I'm kidding.
Again, it's not an album I wouldn't put on for my kids. I'm gonna put this album on for my kids. Like, I'm happy to play this stuff.
It'll grow on you.
I bet.
You'll see. Is that it?
You okay? Oh. I've driven you to drink. I've driven you to just pound the bar.
I believe it. Yeah.
We're no longer friends. All right, man.
All right. I'll see you.
Cheers. Till next time.
Cheers.